Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I need to switch my microphone, but nonetheless, welcome to the show. My name's Tim Sedano. This is Paranormal Insight, and as I switch mics, hopefully it'll sound better. Yes, I'm on the wrong things. It's good times. It's good times. So, switching my mic to the proper thing. We should be over here now. That's a little bit better, isn't it? Okay, so now that we got that hey, how's it going? News on the Flip Side's here. Welcome. News on the Flip Side wrote you. Oh, that's weird. That's me. But I'm not News on the Flip Side. It just went to that Facebook Facebook account for some reason. Huh. I know we have some crossover stuff, but oh, all of our accounts said hi to Heidi. Sorry, I'm looking at the chat, everyone, so I'm a little confused. But nonetheless, hi Heidi, welcome to the chat. Let's see here. So today's show is about psyops and conspiracies. Now, usually I don't touch conspiracies. I'm more of the paranormal thing, but I think maybe there's a paranormal link to a lot of stuff. And if you paid attention to my poster, let me get that ready to bring up just as because I can. You might get an idea of what some of our starting topics are. For starters, we talk a little bit about the first thing on there is Blue Beam 2. So if you don't know what Operation Blue Beam is, let me find this thing real quick. I'm kind of doing two things at once. I didn't actually wasn't prepared to show you this, but I think perhaps maybe I should. Actually, the first thing is the UFO tranche, although I misspelled it, which is kind of embarrassing, but I'll share it with you anyway. That's fine. Wow. Okay. So, there's what nope, is it there? No, it's there. Helps to bring it up on the screen. So there's my cool little thing. Wow, I had a lot less gray in my beard back then when I took that picture. Might be time to update. But anyway, I misspelled tranche. How funny. Don't forget. Hold on. I have a surprise guest popping on with us. Today, my bad. Okay. So I was gonna have a surprise guest today, but she can't make it. I just got the message. But so let's start with that then. Our little list here, and talk about the fourth tranche of UFOs that were put up on ye old website. Let's see if I can get a new tab. Nope, not a new tab. What's that called? When you open it into a new window. Oh, it's good times. Okay, so there we go. New window. Hey, smart Tim. I do know to use the internet, believe it or not. I'm sure I'm not proving that to anyone right now, but here we go. So we had a fourth tranche, as they like to say, and as I completely misspelled it, of UFO stuff drop. And this is kind of what got me rolling on the whole PSYOP thing. Are we doing a PSYOP? Is this a PSYOP? Is this release thing potentially a PSYOP? So let's dig into that for just a minute. I hit the wrong button again. Okay, so I gotta stop that. Get back in. So let me show you what I'm looking at. I'm looking at the war.com site. Yeah, it's o.gov site for UFO stuff. The fourth tranche of records. See, I forgot the end there. So let's dig in. Now we're not going to look at everything here, but some of this was analyses. Some of this was Project Sign stuff from 1948. And if you don't know what Project Sign is, that is a potential UFO. But you will notice it has a very humanoid cockpit right there. So, when you read the entirety of this, it's hard to play with the machine. Sometimes it just doesn't want to work the way I want it to. Yeah, there we go. And then maybe not. That should go over, but it's not. That's bizarre. So, the file contains an initial report from the Air Material Command regarding Project Sign. Air Force is programmed to investigate UFOs. I'm paraphrasing. And they looked at the so-called biology of the flying saucer. And that got a lot of people excited. Oh my gosh, we knew it. They were bioorganic or techno-organic things. And no, the reality is, especially with this photo here, this is actually very close to what was reported by, and his name escapes me now, 1951, give or take, or maybe earlier. I want to say 1951 over Mount Rainier. I saw 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 of wedge-shaped or delta-shaped vehicles, the guy said, flying in formation. Well, that's clearly one of ours. Paint job. I don't know. I can't make out any discerning details as far as who it belongs to. But that is definitely a humanoid cockpit that I'm kind of zoomed in on there. So, I don't know. For me, it didn't quite play. Anywho, so most of it from the fourth tranche is, unresolved UAP, There's videos there. And one of them, I am not even close to kidding you. One of these videos looks like a balloon. It looks like a balloon. Now, a lot of people may argue with me on that balloon identity, because it's just the balloon is just zooming across, and you can see a typical balloon shape, almost egg shaped, but it's pointing, the narrow sides pointing down, like you see with balloons. And I'm talking helium balloon from a party, and there appears to be an umbilical of some sort, string, with a small little package, note, who knows, attached to the bottom. However, the only strange part about it is there's no waggle on the string. Usually when you see hot-air, helium balloons get released or whatever, there's a lot of waggle and it's kind of disorienting, and it's like the air is fighting the lighter than air and stuff, and, good times. But in that particular video, and I'm not sure I want to actually show it to you. Let me see if I can actually find it, because I didn't download anything this time. I just kind of took a, yeah, okay, that's a run. That's not it. I just kind of looked at it all. Here it is. I'll show it to you. So I'm adding to the stage, and the object you're going to be looking for is roughly center, and the camera keeps tracking with it. Now here's the weird part. This is in the Indo-Pacific Command area, which includes parts of the China Sea. And I'll just hit play and let you guys watch it. The object is right here. If you look, that looks a lot like a balloon to me. I'll try and keep up with it here. That looks like a balloon with a thing on it. Now here's the thing. Like I said, there is no waggle. That's a data interruption thing. Don't freak out about that. But does that not look like a balloon with a string? It does to me. And they're trying to keep tracking it, and they keep losing it. It goes behind clouds, and that's the only thing that's weird about it. And it looks like whatever's on the bottom of this balloon just keeps spinning, which is not too. I mean, it's indicative of something being supported by it. I mean, the weight differential would have to be almost exact in order for the balloon not to waggle so much, and for whatever's on the end of the string not to go around. And you can see that it's an irregular flashing on the bottom, so whenever it catches the light or whatever. This is obviously something in the realm of Mylar, but they tracked it because they didn't know what it was for sure. But I mean, with the exception of the horizontal travel, I would assume this is a balloon. And if a helium balloon gets high enough, it does actually level off at one point. Doesn't always explode, especially if you keep it underinflated. And they zoomed in on it, but they'll even slow it down at one point. But I'm not going to show you the whole thing. But nonetheless, we were shown as an example, not specifically. I actually stopped looking, but up to that point, we were shown a balloon. The reports were not as impressive as you might think. More of, John Smith saw some weird craft or light in the sky. He is a postal carrier in the middle of absolutely nowhere, USA. And, or it was a police officer who made a report or something along those lines. So it's, just, it's not one of those file dumps that really impressed me at all. And now here's the other thing of that. The slow drip is, and I mentioned this before, is driving me absolutely insane. Please show us the freaking aliens. You talk about them enough. We know about different species thanks to a couple of different news sources, mainstream news sources nonetheless, when this whole thing first broke. But now, radio silence, virtually radio silence. Yeah, they're still dropping stuff, but I don't know. It seems to me like the slow drip is not really serving the purpose everyone wants it to serve. We want confirmation. Now, we got a little bit of it. We see objects, unidentified aerial phenomena. They keep calling them unidentified UFOs. Now, I'm not saying they know what they are. That's Star Cruiser from Epsilon 7. Okay, granted, you probably don't know all those details, but if we're to believe, say, Charles Hall, the interaction between humans and aliens is obvious. And some of them look like us. They were saying the other day, who was that? I was just sent a really, oh, here it is. I'll show you this because this is kind of intriguing. And I think maybe this is something we should be concerned about to a degree. But I digress. I will let you decide for yourself. So let me get this back up. Well, hit the right button, Tim, and it'll work. I promise. Okay. So I'm going to zoom in a little. I'm going to open this guy up here. And I'll bring it down. Okay. We may have to start over and need to go back into it. If you're hearing noise like something's rushing, it's because my washing machine's going. I wasn't thinking. So, and I need clean clothes, kids. So, okay. So let me go back.
Nordic people or the Nordic alien.
Okay, so Nordic aliens. Aha, we have an official talking about it. Now this is from oh gosh, this guy. I forget.
Rush has told me this is what blew my mind.
Okay, I'm going to pause it. This is from Eric Burleson. Now he claims that, as you may be able to read over here, but still, I'm just going to zoom in on the video because it's really fascinating stuff. Now, I'm assuming these are AI generated images here and here. Can you even see what I'm looking at? I don't think you can. So let me show you. Okay. So these are AI generated, better so than what I came up with, but nonetheless, these are supposed to be our Nordic alien guys. And let's just listen to the thing.
And what he said that happened with Trump, and I'll just tell you this, and just again, I don't know that. I'm going to preface this by saying, this is not what I believe. This is what I've been told. Okay.
Now, I find that statement alone very interesting. It's not what I believe, but it's what I've been told. God forbid the guy holds any sort of opinion. And I mean, I hate that. I know people are afraid of getting canceled or whatever. You know what? I say risk the cancellation. I believe in aliens. Heck, I've seen them. I saw the Charles Hall aliens. The tall whites, not the Nordics, the tall whites. They're different, and I'll show you a picture of them later. But anyway, I want more commitment from our people. So I'm not saying I believe this, but I mean, come on. Whoops, I hit the wrong button yet again.
He said that the Nordic people or the Nordic aliens are like a few hundred years more advanced than we are. That they're not super advanced. They're not like, he said the Greys, whatever is sending the Greys is extremely advanced.
Okay. Sorry, I'm chewing on food. I'm a little hungry today. I find that part of a statement also telling whatever is sending the Greys. Now, this leans into that the Greys, the little Greys, are essentially techno-organic androids grown and programmed for certain purposes. And they have apparently various levels of autonomy. Being sent by the taller Greys, the ones that a lot of people compare to insects but aren't insectoid. But they have a similar physiology, gray mottled skin, big eyes that kind of wrap around a little bit, and they stand anywhere between 6 to 8 feet. Yeah, whatever's sending the Greys is extremely advanced.
Like thousands and thousands of years more advanced than us, because it's doing all the anti-gravity stuff, all the crazy, all this crazy stuff that's very highly advanced, and a lot of it is what he says with the Greys is psionic. So
okay. So does that, and now this also kind of ties in to what Elaine Danan, who's friends via a constant contact chip in her head with Nordics, and she has names. Apparently knows these beings quite personally, who still use joysticks and stuff. She's described this in many of her encounters. So they have more like flight mechanics, like we would have in, say, a more advanced jet or space shuttle. Space shuttle has a yoke. I was in the simulator once, so I can speak with authority to that. And that was fun, I have to admit. But then comes the part that is kind of in opposition to what we hear about the Greys, at least initially. So let's listen.
they basically don't have physical interfaces. They're using their mind.
Okay, we know that part.
And that there's an interface that picks up thought, and then that
yeah,
and that's how they operate these vehicles, is out of psionic.
This is the part.
But the Nordic people somewhat resemble humans, and they have been experimenting with crossbreeding with humans.
Okay. Now, we have heard that about the Greys forever, and now suddenly the story's flipped. It's the Nordic-like people that have been crossbreeding with us. When I last talked to someone in relative authority who knew a little bit more about the alien situation and who was who in the alien pantheon, I distinctly remember, and we can go back and look at my previous episodes. I think it was with Joe, but don't quote me on that. There was a there was an opposition to that it was the Greys looking to interbreed with us, even going all the way back to Barbara, her name escapes me, the two and her husband, the two psychologists. They said the opposite. They are kind of ersatz disciples of the Elaine Denon story, where the Nordics are best friends. The Greys are kind of meh. Who cares? They're neutral, more or less. I mean, there's bad and evil throughout the galaxy and the universe. I mean, I kind of would expect so anyway. That it's not isolated to just us humans. Excuse me while I take a sip. But nonetheless, it is a bit of a dichotomy. Oh, and then the reptilians are the evil ones. Joe Montaldo holds the opposite to be true. That the reptilians are our best friends. The Nordics are kind of meh in the middle. They could care freaking less about us, and then the Greys are kind of more in the evil category, if you will. They're the ones doing all the experimentation, and that kind of is backed up by all the abduction stories. Go all the way back to Betty and Barney Hill. That's 1961. One of the most documented and explored abduction stories ever. Oh man, still gets me just thinking about them because they went through an ordeal. We discussed that last time though. So I'll let him continue.
And he says some of them, that there are aliens that are crossbreeds living in the world. And I asked him, I go, okay, do they know that they're a crossbreed? Or do they, like, how would you know that they are a crossbreed? And he didn't have an answer for that. Like,
okay. He didn't have an answer for that, and I'll stop it there because it gets a little political at this thing, and I'm trying to avoid politics, believe it or not. Although it's getting harder and harder. So a to take that into account, maybe what Charles Hall and I both saw as far as creatures go would be, although it doesn't make sense because they look way different than what I would expect a Nordic type and a human, since they look virtually identical, would produce. You might detect a slight hum in the background. That's my washing machine. Fair warning, just so you know. But what Charles and Hall and I saw were, I mean, they had oversized sunglasses they were wearing. So if I'm being completely, objective, being a good eyewitness, I did not see their eyes for certain. But I don't know why you would have such huge glasses when glasses. And I have sunglasses covers that go over these glasses that I wear, and it's enough. So that would say to me you're trying to hide a physical. How should I put that? A physical difference between the tall whites, as Charles Hall calls them, and humans, regular old humans with their smaller eyes. Although have you looked at some of these actresses in Hollywood lately? First one that comes to mind, Amanda Seyfried. Let's see if I can find a picture of her. But yeah, she has some very large eyes. There was even a whole little thing about her. But Amanda Seyfried has those wide eyes. There's that gal on Amanda Seyfried, and there she is. And then there's the lead actress in the new in the Fallout series. She has enormous eyes. Yeah, Ella Purnell. She, don't get me wrong, they're beautiful girls, absolutely, they're gorgeous. But I will give you an example of what big eyes look like on this girl, and you're going to see one of the other actors. So let's just take a look at that real quick. So this is Ella Purnell, and this. Let me get Amanda's eyes up here first, and she has big eyes too. Although she tries to darken them with a lot of eyeshadow, but she really has them freaking huge. They're not huge, but they're larger than I would expect. Larger than normal, I would say. They're not gigantic, but they are present, and they really kind of stand out. I'm trying to find one when she's looking up a little bit, because I mean, you could really see him when she looks up. Oh, that's a fair one, I guess. So let me call that up real quick. Okay. So let me see if I can share this here. Okay, so this system is not very forgiving when it comes to what's out there. So this is Amanda Seyfried, and you will notice she has some sizably big eyes compared to mine, for example. No, I have a tiny face, so I do. Uh, but that's Amanda, and P.S. This is all over the internet. I'm not trying to be mean or anything. And then yeah, there we go. And this is Ella. Right there off to the side. That's I love the makeup effect they did there. It's pretty cool. Or whatever. But those are some big eyes. She's got bigger eyes than Amanda. But those eyes right there are pretty big. And that's what I would expect. In fact, it is said that the Nordics actually do have larger eyes than we do. They don't look like humans entirely. They're pretty close, like the guy said in that clip. But they do not look exactly like us. So, taking that into account, there we have it. Let me go back into where we were before. But we're here to talk about conspiracies. We're here to talk about, and psyops. And I guess that is the chief question. Is this entire UFO thing a psyop? I think 90% of the stuff is a psyop out there. Even the stupid war we're in. And I get it. The narrative that's being pushed makes sense. You have a state that's purportedly sponsoring terrorism across the rest of the world. I mean, they're kind of the bank for terrorism. But then I think seems to be a lot of outside manipulation to push that narrative. And we have the folks with the blue and white flag, chiefly, are under suspicion for actually pushing that, like they had insiders rousing things up, starting those protests, for example. Now, here's the other side of that. It is said that the CIA, our guys, were behind that, or were behind that as well, as far as riling up these protesters and starting this revolution, because that's really what it is. It's a revolution, and they're, the militant faction of Iran are, you know, I don't know. It seems like they're fractured because you have one set of people, Iranians, going to do talks and meetings, and it's like we have a ceasefire, and then the military side said, I don't care about your ceasefire. I want to blow some stuff up and take control of the Strait of Hormuz. And there's so many various opinions, but then there's the involvement with the Chinese supplying tech, the Russians supplying tech, across the spectrum, not only weapons, but vehicles and the like as well. And we've even intercepted some of these shipments. But, I mean, it is just amazing. There was something that was leaked. Man, we're going to get political here, and I'm afraid to do it. But, well, okay, you know what? Before I get to that point, let me get on to something else here real quick. When it comes to these things that happen in the world that put a lot of people in danger and kill them and all the rest of it, I am brought back to the conspiracy of 9/11. Now, yeah, those towers got hit. They went down. Absolutely. But there are two conflicting, highly conflicting methodologies at play. That one supports the fact that these planes went into the building and it was structural failure that had it collapse. Both those buildings and number 7 collapsed the way they did. But you will remember, as a starting point, number 7 was not hit by a plane. It was hit by a fragment, maybe I don't know, a wing or a tail fin or something like that. That would never do that much damage. Not enough to collapse the building. Then there's the insurance issues. The owners and or partial owners of those buildings took out massive insurance bills, insurance policies against those specific buildings and a few other surrounding ones. And the cash out on that was in the, well, high millions easily, perhaps $1 billion. I can't remember the numbers off the top of my head. So that's one conspiracy. Actually, that's 2 or 3 conspiracies. The other side of the impact thing was that, one, and it's just coming out now, there were no planes. What? That doesn't make sense. We all saw the planes going into the tower. One person, one angle rather, has followed the plane into the building. I think number 2. And there's the second plane. And something really bizarre happens. Now, this could be the whole we're all living in a simulation anyway thing. And here we go. We can dive into that if you want to. But then there is the excuse me, side of things that begs the question, because, okay, here's what happens. And I wish I had the video because I didn't know I was going to go into this part of the conspiracy world. This is why I don't like conspiracies. They require a lot of backup, and I'm not really that deeply prepared to talk about this stuff. But as the camera follows plane number 2 into the building, one of its wings goes behind another skyscraper, when in fact said skyscraper is blocks and blocks away. There's no way the plane would be interrupted. So, okay, so here's what happens. If this is the building and this is the plane, it should do this and obscure said tower. What happens instead, it looks like it does this. Now, this could be fakery done after the fact. because it was a few years ago. Now, we did have the technology to pull this off as far as, computing power and graphic arts and all the rest of it. I will note, upon watching the live broadcasts of those attacks, the planes lacked any color. They were grayscale. No identifiers. I mean, these are American Airlines planes, if I remember correctly. American Airlines planes are pretty distinctive in the sky. So, who knows? And then there's the collapses themselves. Okay, part 4 of this conspiracy. Actually, there's a 5th part too, but I'll get into that in a sec. 4th part of this conspiracy with the towers is that they came down in a very structured way, not unlike a demolition. Granted, there was debris within a significant debris field from the collapse. Excuse me. But it was still in a very controlled, localized area. Okay. So, a building that is hit that high up is going to fail probably in an angle. And, the top would tip and fall. Everything came down. Now, you see the top of one of them kind of bend in, but if you look at controlled demolitions with towers, that's what happens. They come down, and they all come down straight. Everything here went virtually straight down, which is bizarre because the point of impact was the only structurally compromised part of the building. If you look at the layout of the structure of the building, they're reinforced to an insane degree. And that building, both buildings, never should have come down. And therefore also, Tim can't talk. We have to look at building 7, and the way that came down was in also. Again, all you have to do is go to watch the Vegas demolitions from the 80s or 90s when they took down the old strip and built up these new casinos and hotels. Well, they had to make room. So I think it's the Stardust was that really square one, and it came down in a very uneven way with in sections, right? From lateral, so it would collapse, and then everything else would kind of fall in and follow it. That's exactly how Building 7 went. Very controlled. And given that too was hit by a piece of plane debris, allegedly, higher up in its structure, there's no way that should have compromised the lower levels of that building without a controlled demolition. And how do I know this? Because Popular Mechanics dove deep into this and proved it. Okay. And, there were other so-called experts speaking to that. Well, they hit their thermal tolerance. You know what? No. And by the way, those planes shouldn't have blown up like that in the first place. Never mind. There were probably, okay, I see what you're saying. I know what you're about to say. Tim, they had bombs on the damn planes. Yes, they did. That's true. At least that's what the findings said. There was so much about the attack that seems so very orchestrated that I would be, I don't know. It seemed like a lot of flash and bang, and not a lot of hard hitting, structural damage. I mean, there was debris and pieces of window and whatever falling from the building way up high as the planes were made it. Okay, here's the other thing. Those planes never should have made it inside the building as far as they did, which means they were reinforced, perhaps something more along the lines of a cooked up cruise missile type thing made to look very much like a passenger jet. And then what happens to the passengers? Well, killed on impact, right? A lot of people think they were just disappeared in a very harsh way. Thank you for serving your country, bullet to the head, kind of a thing. I'm not saying that's what happened. I don't know. But it wouldn't surprise me. But what does surprise me is that we would tolerate it. Now, here's number. But okay, before we get into that, let's look at the Pentagon. It was finally revealed after tons of personal eyewitness testimony, despite all the video being pulled. One of them, because there's this route that the third plane took into the Pentagon, and it would have to thread so many needles to pull it off. It was likely not a passenger jet. Further, it was too fast for a passenger jet. I think it exceeded something on the order of a pretty tight bank hitting its target the way it did. That a passenger jet, couldn't pull that off. Even a new one at the time couldn't pull that off. And it was actually proven very, very recently because they finally released the video. Oh, we thought it was a plane, but it was a missile. Full-on cruise missile is what it was. And where'd that launch from? Did the terrorists have themselves a nuclear submarine off the coast? No. That cruise missile was launched from land, and it's very hard to hide a cruise missile launch in this country that's foreign. So this conspiracy was at the apex of our government, or perhaps our dark government, whatever it is, that that needed the America to rally behind the anti-terrorism campaign. And then we can get into those with the blue and white flag having the most to gain from America getting into the war on terror. And then there's the other two passenger planes that went down out of control. We're gonna get them, and honey, I love you. Those two. There was the last two calls that went out on two different planes, and it's because the passengers rallied against the terrorists. They lost control of the plane. They're going down with the ship. I mean, heroic stuff. Hollywood can write a better script, and some have speculated that that is exactly what it was. It makes you angry and gives you a lot to think about, that elements of our own government would do that to its own people to further a global agenda that would include the U.S. in the war on terror. I mean, why wouldn't you want to include the U.S. in the war on terror? Makes sense. As far as having someone involved. And it worked. Worked on me. I was just as gung-ho to get out there and start fighting these bastards who blew up our towers when I should have been looking closer to home. Or perhaps at a different place on the map. Yeah. But again, this is all conspiracy. This is all possibly a psyop. They want us in whoever they are, want us in a space that is easily controllable as far as the narrative goes. And so we went from UFOs to the World Trade Center bombings, and wow. So something tells me there is a lot to take in, a lot to consider. Now we have the country with the blue and white flag keeps coming up. I can't say their names, but you know who they are. And I would like to, from this point forward, make it understood that I do not, repeat, do not dislike the residents of the country with the blue and white flag at all. It's the leadership that needs to be taken a closer look at because they are going freaking nuts trying to fulfill some weird prophecy, apparently. Yes, this has become a religious war for their own purposes. And they're trying to make America, to one degree or another, pay for it. And I don't mean necessarily in money. They're not fighting the war themselves. They're launching rockets left, right, and center, damaging any and all peace efforts that are very easily achievable. So, yeah. Tim loves his life. That's me. I'm Tim. Love my life. I am not suicidal. I'm putting that out there right now in a very serious, big, bad way. But since I only have 4 people watching me right now, probably not a problem. But let's consider having some discretion when it comes to sharing so much with a foreign power that wants to exert so much control. Okay, folks, we're done with the political aspect of things. We'll probably dive back into it to one degree or another, but I am ultimately, okay, last words on that. Ultimately, I feel betrayed. As an American, I feel betrayed. And it's not just America that gets betrayed in all this, because once we do something, or say something, or act a certain way, there's 2 things that happen. Others jump on our bandwagon, or the opposition kicks in, and suddenly we have an even wider conflict to play with. How's that fair to anyone else in the world? We are this close, and I mean this close, not to war, but to ultimate peace. And because these people will not stop playing some silly little game that never should have been started in the first place, trying to achieve more power, and that's what it's all about, kids. Power, control. Because they can't let it go and let people live their lives, because I guarantee you, if people will just let people live their lives, basic laws notwithstanding, we would have 0 trouble. 0. But no one can leave well enough alone. Okay, I'm done rambling on about that, and I'm sure you're sick of hearing me ramble on about that. So let's talk a little bit more about some very interesting things that I found crossing, kind of intermingling in more of the paranormal world. And I have been poo-pooing this idea secretly for a little bit, but I will say this. I'm wondering if there isn't something to it. And that idea is that we are living in a simulation. A lot of people will say, Tim, you talk about all this weird stuff all the time. How could it not be a simulation? Well, here's why. Never mind that the CIA released, or it was released by the CIA, accidentally or otherwise, that there is a series of codes, passcodes, to make you rich, to make you healthy, to make you feel good, give you superpowers or whatever. I don't know about the superpowers thing, but it wouldn't surprise me. And there are a number of podcasters out there, not podcasters, excuse me. Well, yeah, some of them, but influencers, TikTok types, that type of thing. And they all kind of echo each other, and that's why it loses its potency, I guess. But if you say certain numbers and you focus on them, you get richer. Say certain numbers and focus on them, you get healthier, and so on and so forth. Now, this rings a little weird to me. In fact, the whole number code thing kind of sounds like the number wheel. If you're familiar with any sort of witchcraft whatsoever, or have ever looked it up, just look it up. Don't play with it. I'm telling you right now, it's not. That's my phone going bonkers. Let me mute that real quick. Don't play with the number wheels, kid. It never ever works out. There's always such a heavy price to pay, both spiritually and sometimes physically. So stay away from number wheels. And in fact, I regret bringing it up, but the code numbers actually correspond to one degree or another to the number wheel system used in darker witchcraft. And so don't use them. Don't use them. But here is something interesting. I like the physical stuff. I think a lot of it can be explained away, but this one was caught on camera and glossed over by the mainstream media. Thankfully, we have a lot of people saying, Now, I will add this. This could be a complete and total setup, because I don't know any of these players. Not that I follow tennis at all, but there's like 12 people in the stands, and some of them look to have goofy faces. I don't know. This could all be AI, at least the part they focus on here. So let me call that up real quick. Here it is. This is a tennis match, and we're about to watch something phase through a tennis net. Okay. Here we go.
Went down. Check the video review. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Gigante is requesting a video review to check if the ball went through the net.
So the player caught it.
Fans thought it was a mistake, maybe a misunderstanding in the chaos of a fast rally. But when officials rolled the replay, the stadium went silent.
Yeah, check that out. It goes through, like it tips the top. Now, see, that's where I have a problem, because you see it tip the net, and even at slow motion, I don't know that it goes through, but they actually go a step further.
The footage clearly shows Diallo's return piercing through the net cord as though the strings weren't even there.
Yeah, they get a closer shot of it. Okay, isn't that interesting? So, for me, this is the very first. I'm sorry, let me collapse this. For me, this is the very first iteration that's semi-believable. Although I will still reserve a little bit of judgment for some aftermarket influence in the digital, when it comes to, digital manipulation and the potentiality thereof. Now, I have seen it where in volleyball nets, balls will go between the white border there, that's over the net in this case, and the net above, because 9 times out of 10 they're not actually attached on separate things, and you can actually pop a hole through there. And if volleyballs can do it, tennis balls certainly can. That's all I'll say about that. But it's still very interesting, and actually makes me a little more. If I'm over here in my belief in the Matrix, it moves the bar that much toward believing the Matrix, which would be way over here somewhere. Where this is my microphone. Way over here. Anyway, okay. Now, speaking of conspiracies and things, this one, I am skeptical as all get out on this, because I could easily see this being done in post as an AI. So let me call it up.
This is awesome.
Yeah, no, it is awesome, but Um, let me go out and come back into it, show you all what's going on here. Oh, well, nope, that's the whole thing. I meant to do that. Nope, meant to do. Oh, goodness. Let's do that. Let's do that. No, let's do the other one. Okay, fun with buttons. Yes, I know how to operate my. There we go. That's better. Is that it? Yeah. Let's go back to the other one. Okay. So, let's watch this guy right here. I'm going to mute it. You can just watch it for yourself. So watch these two dudes go in. All right. The thing sinks down, and the cars drive off. Okay. Now, and this next one, I'm calling that CG, man. I mean, it's well done. And this guy's totally convinced this is happening, but I'm less convinced. And these overlapping pieces of footage just gotta stop, man. What the heck's that little airplane doing there, for example? So, watching the guys go into that little doodad, I would not put that up past the government to build something like that. They already have ramp tunnels that go underground, and we've seen those. It's interesting. You get the right angle on it. It looks like it disappears behind a rock, but it's not. It's an underground little passageway. Anyway, so that's that fun little thing. But I think we need to also discuss where our okay, excuse me, I'm so sorry. Ooh. Where our understanding of what is being kept secret and why it's being kept secret comes into play. Do we agree with the secrets being kept? And if they're released, does that make us look like the good guy or the bad guy on the more global stage? And by us, I mean the U.S. This was supposedly Area 51. That's Groom Lake, Nevada. Super top secret because we all know about it. But nonetheless, they do conduct a lot of interesting stuff out there still. Got a friend or two who still lives out that way. Excuse me. So yawny today. I promise I got enough sleep too. I was pretty jazzed about this episode though, so. Okay. We're gonna do this actually. It is time for us to take that break. About 2 minutes. So we'll be back right after these messages. This is the United Public Radio Network, 107.7 FM in New Orleans and 105.3 in the Gulf Coast. UPRN Talkradio.com. Esoteric programming at its finest.
Long ago in the ancient world, the Trebus Omnes Lux, later known as the Tridents, were celebrated heroes, defenders of humanity against unspeakable monsters. Today, they continue that sacred duty in secret, hunting the dark evils that lurk just beyond the shadows. They are the Trident of Light.
Introducing Story TV, enabling true creative freedom for independent creators. Search an ever-growing library of fantastic festival winners, including Blaney Tucker's Ghost and the Monster Hunters of the TOL. Free to enjoy at lower resolutions. Pay $5 per month for 1080 and full K presentations to support the artists you enjoy. Your monthly contribution actually goes to the filmmakers themselves. Support independent film. Support Story TV. Check out our Patreon. Get deeper behind-the-scenes insights. Also, tips into being a better paranormal investigator and other fascinating content. Follow us on Instagram at paranormal.insight. Stay informed on upcoming shows, see what paranormal trends we're following, and help us reach 50,000 followers by liking, following, and sharing. Don't forget to follow us on YouTube at paranormal_insight. Click the live tab to see our latest videos. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the show. Well, we're going to hear from an old quasi-friend. You may have heard her name. She was played by a popular actress, Miss Julia Roberts. And this is Erin Brockovich herself. She's going to talk to us a little bit about the very conspiratorial data centers.
A lot of people don't like AI. I certainly don't like the data centers that have to feed the beast. That is going to take all of our resources. And I asked AI, tell me where you would put all the data centers in the United States. And the response was, if I had to redesign the entire data center network for the United States from scratch, I would place them based on one single rule: zero conflict with human resources. I had a woman reach out to me that was in Vegas and went past the big switch data center. She started noticing immediately that her chest started burning. It was like burning through her skin, her pacemaker. And she went into AFib. These data centers and energy that they need to survive will take all of these resources all at once, not just water, not just one city, and not just a little electrical. We're talking the whole grid. We're talking the whole infrastructure. We're talking the entire water supply. A lot of...
Okay, so that was from the Sean Ryan show. And why can't I get back to just me? There we go. So Erin Brockovich makes an interesting point, and a lot of people have been saying that. Oh, I have comments to read. Well, how about that? I'm out of class. Good day, Tim. Oh, Heidi's back with us. That follow lady is a bug-eyed freak. Oh, yeah, thank you. Weightlifter 73. Yeah, Amanda is not as bad, but she definitely has some huge eyes, and she's not the only one. So if hybrids are among us, that may come into play. Heidi's in the psychic class. Oh, she's Thursday. Okay, she's in a psychic class. Fantastic, Heidi. Good. I'm glad you're pursuing that. That's awesome. But Erin makes a very good point. It's like sucking up all of resources, and others are saying, including pros out there, and talk about someone who worked in data centers for a large part of his IT career. Back when I did IT, there was never one water pipe cooling these things at all. Okay, they had fans, they were air conditioned rooms, and I understand that takes up, a lot of juice, but why do you run water through it? I mean, if you're going to have to run water through it, it'll be stinky if there's a leak, but run sewage water through it. I mean, that's horrible to think about, and you're gonna have to do a lot of filtration, but it's not like you're actually dumping the water onto the microchips or anything, or the board sets or any of that. So it's just there to provide a cooling atmosphere. And, there's fans that can handle it. Absolutely, there are fans that can handle it. So using our resources to run these data centers, which is to run largely the larger AI models, I think is a unnecessary mistake. Personally, there's really no need to water cool anything. There is nitrogen, which is stable and excessively cold, and you can run a near refrigerator, like they're near the cool source, or you can actually dip the entire thing in nitrogen and it'll still function well. And the cast off, any need to recycle nitrogen was minimal at best. So if you have a quantum processor running that hot, Never mind, they put these in people's homes now. If you have the AI stacks, the little lunch boxes. Come on. Wow, you're seeing a lot of background stuff behind my head, aren't you? So yeah, I agree. The data centers going up. I think they should be stopped, boycotted, rethought, or as I think it's God, one of the billionaires, I can't remember which, is actually building them offshore. They're taking an old offshore oil rig that's no longer working, using that as the data center, and using, a closed system and they're funneling ocean water through it. That's it. They just pump ocean water through. It's plenty cold. Plenty cold. What average, especially if you pull it from a lower source, which you have access to thanks to the oil rig, you have access to water at a very low place, very deep, dark, cold place on the planet. And you're not going to, you're just pumping it through. As long as you're not using PVC, it's basically harmless. So, environmentally sound, and you get all the cooling you need, and you don't have to bother our water to do it. Fantastic idea. So, I hate it when the ads pop up in the stupid chat, and there's no way to block them either, which is stupid. I think StreamYard allows that to happen, but I digress. Now here's one that bugs me, and was it here? I hope I saved it in this spot. Otherwise, I'll be very upset. And I have to go hunting for it somewhere else. But it is because I being a paranormal investigator, I know what evil feels like when I walk into a room with an evil presence. And I find it, as an experiencer of an actual live entity right in front of me, confirmed by a very well-known second person, that's Charles Hall, as to this specific species known as, by him, as the tall whites. That makes sense. More like, well, okay, apparently that's offensive now. Apparently, I've had my mic in the wrong position this whole time. But apparently, to call them albino is bad. But certainly lacking any major pigmentation. Very pale, platinum hair. Not Nordic. Beyond that, and the larger eyes. So, tall whites works. It's a little bit misleading, but if you know what they look like, you're going to go, oh yeah, for sure. But in fact, I will bring up that picture once again as I continue to talk about it. Hey, if it helps if you can spell. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so let me share this. Let me stop sharing that, and then, oh my gosh, this is they really need to improve that system. Okay. Without the sunglasses on, more or less this is what they look like. They have larger eyes, and but otherwise, and the bridge of the nose is a bit wider, and if you look here, they have very long hands. And that's exactly what I saw. And they're very tall. The kid was apparently 5 or 6 in maturity, but looked like a 12-year-old girl. The adult female, although this looks like a male to me, the adult female was, sorry, I should be up here. Sorry, I can't even get to it right now. Where are they? I still can't get to it. There it is. The adult female was more feminine looking, hint of a breast under the robes and so on and so forth. I've talked about this already. But big sunglasses to cover those big eyes. So, but the rest of it's completely and totally accurate. So take that with a grain of whatever. Do I have two of those up? Oh, silly me, I do. What a dingbat. Sorry, I'm looking at my other screen around my mic, and I shouldn't be. But Heidi asked a very interesting question. I'll share that with everyone, Heidi. Are any of them aliens, I presume, known to wear cloaks or long trench coats? I couldn't answer that. I seem to recall a report, and it was third. Even this story is kind of third party, where Charles was talking to someone else who was their earth handler, so to speak. The guys that escort them around to these different things, like the two men in black that I saw. It's apparently they wear, like, the younger people want to blend in, the older folks not so much. So but they are known to wear clothes that resemble their home styles. Like, the older folks are into that. The older alien folks are into that. So if they find Earth clothes that kind of resemble their home style, and if you have a basic humanoid structure, I'm sure you'll find something you like. For the little girl, it was red and white. She was Waldo, man, without the hat. It was red and white and stripes and solid red pants and almost solid red shoes. I think there was some, like, maybe some branding on there that was white. And even the sunglasses were red rimmed, and I think they had, like, candy stripes on the stems. I mean, she was all about the stripes, the red and white coordination. And it was freaking hilarious to see. Not hilarious, but I mean, it was like, wow, someone just went bold with their choices there. Because most kids kind of, at least they have their parents lay their clothes out for them in the first few years, right? How about this with this? I want to wear jeans today. And then you start coming up with your own style. But anyway, my guess is this was laid out like Garanimals style. For those who know what Garanimals are. So she had clothes that was very Earth-like, and with the exception of the glasses and the extra long fingers, she could easily, and the complexion of it all, yeah. She would pass for human without a second look, but her abnormalities caused a bit of a second look. So if they're known to wear cloaks or raincoats or anything like that, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. Let me put it that way. I would not be surprised by that whatsoever, especially if you're in an environment that would likely, not attract attention, like if it was a rainy day or something like that. Yeah, sure, trench coats and stuff, or snowy day even. Yeah, I could see it happening. But so sorry. Yeah, I need to get a shot of caffeine before I do this show. That's for sure. I also thought I was gonna have guests on today, but alas, that did not happen. For some reason, that energizes me when I have someone to really kind of bounce off of. Once again, welcome to all two of you who are watching. Actually, there's a lot more watching. I just can't see them on my feed. So, once again, welcome. And thank you for joining us. Let's talk about, and you're going to laugh and go, Tim, that's fake. But, pardon me, we have seen a few interesting examples crop up over the last 10, 15 years. And most recently, coming out of Britain. Now, I think it might be something for a film. If I'm being completely honest, this is something for a film. But this one gave me pause because whoever put this together, if it is fake, they have a budget. Because these guys are in the correct military gear. They're in the correct environmental encasements. Okay. For an outdoor location being handled by the military and CDC and all the rest of it. So let me get these guys queued up here. This is freaking, if this is true, it's freaking wild. And the nonchalantness of it all is, I don't know, between concerning and I don't know. Oh, okay, concerning, but there's concern is like, oh my gosh, this is really happening, and then the second concern is, oh my gosh, they hid this from us that it was really happening. You think it's this rare thing that happens to people here and there, or people are faking it, or something else is happening. But this one gave me pause. I'd actually like to get some opinions on this, so let me call up this video here. And let me share it with you. Oops. There it is. Look at this one right here. Let me get the video.
Soldier claims National Guard is eradicating zombies.
This is Twitch's moment, watching the National Guard. And what are we doing at Twitch's moment? Well, as you see, we have a double land set here. We've had some activities going to this valley exhale.
Okay, I'm going to pause you right there. And this little guy in the corner jumped up and said the exact same thing. We have some zombie activity here. What? And this is quite obviously being shot with a cell phone, man. And not a very good one. Or a really old camcorder. So... I don't know. Let's continue watching.
Just yet, but we have had some gunshots in these surrounding buildings. But I want to take a walk down there and see it. So, how common are these things? Well, it's a thing on the bird slightly, but it's still a really menacing threat. People don't know that it's actually a biological threat, not a chemical or radiological like you are. No, that's super common. It's like a rash. It's fairly common. I'd say once every 3 months somewhere in America. All right, so see this big building.
Once every 3 months-ish, somewhere in America, there's a zombie outbreak. What the crap? I don't know. For me, this is probably a nice piece of background footage you might see playing on a computer or something of a zombie film. But they had some money behind them because all those people and soldiers are using the real hazmat stuff where they're bringing, the air hoses down and the liquid hoses down, all that temporary stuff that is military specific and CDC specific too, and Army Corps of Engineers specific as well. So they have a lot of their T's crossed and I's dotted when it comes to this, roping things off. Now, for me, the only thing they got wrong is this building here in the background. That should be lit up with work lights, spotlights, something lit up. I'm not even close to kidding you. Inside and out, especially if they have people in there right now. But it isn't. Let us continue. Whoops. Come on.
2 hours ago. But still hear noises. We still hear some scraping around in there. I think there might be a couple little stuff still going on. But we're going to take another sweep through there. And I said we're right now set for their movement. To sweep it again. The point of this right now is to decon any of our guys or any civilians that are caught. Absolutely. Anything from a slight blood splatter to a full-on bite or anything. But in fact, not everyone can spit and transforms. I know there's a lot of misconceptions with all the movies and stuff going on. You know, really common to see these guys laughing. I mean, it's a pretty safe thing. A full-blown epidemic is pretty much not likely to happen. You have to have a predispositioned ability to get turned into one. Absolutely. Not only that, but it's quite the turn to this zombie or this flesh eater or this biggest misconception is that they don't go for brain. A lot of TV shows with it out that they eat brain, but nevertheless, we take this quite seriously. Absolutely. It's a huge operation we have going right now.
Contents. Oh my
several
gosh.
different guard agencies and even the Homeland response.
Yep.
Homeland Security.
I wish I had done.
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course.
Okay.
We don't really choose the areas these things happen at. And we got the best option, the best place where to do it. Yeah, that's how it's. Why? It's basically a backyard. Backyard. Do what you gotta do. Look at all those ventilators. Stretchers, any wounded. These mobile stations up here. Okay. They're fairly well organized and they're really first responders. Wow. It's big time.
Yeah, this guy's kind of echoing my stuff.
We have MPs around the whole area containing situations that doesn't spread. Wow. Super important in a situation like this. We control what's going on site, but we have to control what's going on around site.
Okay, that's basically the video. But zombies, kids, if you believe that video, and trust me, the military really wouldn't let something like that out, especially given the lack of information. Sorry, that's me playing with a wrapper. Especially given the lack of, I guess, mainstream response, because even, well, maybe not though. I mean, if they're trying to keep it on the down low, this release would cause some blowback. However, I have not seen this on anything mainstream, Republican or Democratic based. And I have not seen this except for on here. So my guess is, and this is just a guess, but it had, hey, there's my microphone in the shot. My guess is that, sorry, this is probably for a film and likely for background happening. Well, look at this. Look at, you may even see this in the film, in an upcoming film, or maybe it'll be reshot because the lighting on this is a little too natural, and the Hollywood types would like to put a little more light on them. Although, kudos. I mean, if you're going for actual authenticity, the way people look in these situations, they're not lit for interviews, man. They are lit like this. A lot of oblique lighting, and it's all concentrated lighting in the workstations and the decon stations. And someone has a budget for this, because military uniforms are correct. The jargon is correct. I was impressed by that. The kind of nonchalant attitude about, yeah, this happens every 3 months, is surprisingly spot on. If this were a first time thing, you'd think there'd be a little more panic. But the way these guys are treating it, saying, yeah, this stupid zombie thing happens every once in a while. Man. Can you imagine? But then they go into the bites and the attacks of these things. Yeah, people were watching for blood splatter. We're watching for, scratches. But it's the bites you got to worry about. But not everyone changes. We just got to keep an eye on them. Pardon me. Just insane. So let me know in the comments what you think of that. Zombies. Wow. That's pretty good. This is kind of, I don't want to go into that. Oh, this is, okay. Hold on. Let's go back to the zombie thing real quick. So you may recall this British fella. I don't know if he's here or not, but in my feed, maybe I'll just do a quick search for him. Zombies. I can't spell zombies. UK. There we go. Zombies UK. Let's see if they crop up. Okay. Yeah, there's a few of them. I'm going to try and mute out their stuff here. But yeah. This is kind of interesting. Let me show you guys this. Okay. So, look at this chick here and look at the dude and how they're shuffling around and no one else is really paying them any mind. Okay. And notice they're not attacking people. I found that kind of weird. They got blood on their mouths quite obviously. They're stumbling around drunkish like you'd expect a zombie to do. Right? And there's other people. Okay. And this one's pretty funny. But yeah, okay, this is the guy I was thinking of where he has video. Hey, I think there's zombies in the UK. And I'll zoom in on this. But a night camera keeps catching this zombified person going after the camera. Now, for my money, that is some film footage. That is for a movie. I don't know why a zombie would care about a light in their face. Maybe they don't like it. Who knows? But this guy and a few others like him are pushing the zombie narrative as being a reality. They're going, what is going on? I mean, he's too happy about it for starters. Maybe he's one of those nervous guys, but I don't think so. He's pretty articulate about it and all the rest of it. So another person stumbling in the dark over here. I don't know. For me, I'm still thinking film project or multiple zombie film projects. Or, okay, this is a good one too. We found a zombie, a real zombie. Arr, arr, I'm chewing on the glass. Arr, 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 arr. Someone's taking direction. I don't know. For me, that's a big no. But the army thing in the other clip, the first clip, was a little more convincing. I like that they didn't show them because now you get to use your imagination and come up with these guys in your head chewing on the old glass. There you go. And there's more zombies caught in a playground. That's pretty funny. So just this girl in pink's just wandering the playground because she can't figure out how to get out of the fence. I thought that was kind of funny. Okay. These people were talking. I play the audio, but it's just this guy just doesn't shut up about it. And she looks like she's in her pajamas. Okay, so she's in a fenced-in playground. She can't figure out what to do. It's pretty funny. Arg, like in that film. Here's another one. That's pretty funny. These dudes are all in the same alley. I don't know why they're looking at that, but yeah. Someone's been sweating. So anyway, I hate when these guys just jump in with the comments. That's not cool. Yeah, there we go. Same film over here. And again, people just won't get out of the way. Let us see the footage, man. But zombies, real, fake, real? Are we dealing with a hidden pandemic type deal. I don't know. What are your thoughts on all that? Hey, there's people in my feed. Wow, there's a lot of fun people in my feed. That's kind of weird. Robots with guns. That's kind of fun. Anyway, we'll go back to that later. But zombies in the feeds. Zombies in the feed. Again, that first clip, the army clip, I saved that one and I bypassed the others because, yeah, because that's the one that held my attention. I mean, I was looking for all these things and they all showed up. So, again, if this is a movie plot, people are catching them on their cell phones. Makes sense. It has a Shaun of the Dead vibe to it. If you've ever seen that, it feels almost comedic, especially the British ones. But Heidi had a thing going back to the aliens. I thought the Jedi people and the three beings that were around my bed one night, yipes, the tallest one looked like it had a long, dark trench coat on. Oh, again, I cannot speak to their clothing habits. Can't really. I mean, it kind of sounds like my character. A character I wrote in my book for TOL, who in those aliens have trench coat based uniforms. So, yeah, very odd indeed. Very odd indeed. But zombies, huh? That is just, I don't know, man. I don't know. Well, okay. The reason this caught my attention more than anything, not only the intensely accurate military stuff, but the fact that we've actually had mainstream stuff pop up in the past, mostly related to excessive drug use, like fentanyl or what they call bath salts, which is heroin and fentanyl. Wow, how much of a high do you need to get on to try heroin and fentanyl? I mean, I don't know about you, but I've seen the tapes of the people on those things individually, and yipes, the behavior is off the wall. The come down from those drugs is intense, and you're going to chance messing up your mind to such a degree with something they termed bath salts, which is actually mercury. Not mercury. What's that called? Is it mercury? Yeah, someone look up what bath salts are. But magnesium. That's what it is. It's magnesium. You're gonna name it after magnesium. Magnesium flakes. Just freaking bizarre to me. But at least two individuals, one in Florida, one in Ohio. Don't quote me on Ohio, but definitely in Florida. There was someone who started chewing on this homeless person's face because they were whacked out of their mind, and they were impossible to stop. They're animalistic. They had no language, no communication capabilities whatsoever. And no matter what was thrown at them, they were so focused on just chewing on this poor old man's face. The second incident was a woman had part of her leg bitten and I think consumed to a degree. That guy wasn't as hard of a case as the Florida assault. Not the victim, but the one who, oh my gosh, one who assaulted the homeless fella. But they were nothing short of, but they were all confirmed to be whacked out on like something like bath salts, or what they call bath salts. Again, that's I think it's heroin fentanyl, if I remember correctly. Or I think crystal meth might be in the mix there somewhere too. Wow. How high do you have to want to get to Man. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. But yeah. So the zombie thing, the military thing made me scratch my head. But as I see the British stuff, I'm thinking, because they are perfectly made up. Those people, they look exactly like what we would assume zombies would be, and it kind of makes sense. But at the same time, if you're, oh my gosh, I can't stop. Ugh. This is why I like having guests. I don't talk as much, and therefore don't yawn. What was I going to say? Oh yeah. So if you're going to really kind of analyze the zombie idea, check one, two. Okay, there we go. If we're really going to analyze the zombie idea, imagine what would have to happen. I don't think you'd go dead. I think you just have a massive part of your mind shut off because the chemicals in your system. Oh my gosh! Now my nose won't stop running. Pardon me. It's kind of allergy world around my place right now. But imagine if you're strictly reduced chemically, via some chemical influence. Drugs, as an example. Illicit drugs, I should say. And you're going to go out there and try it, and you get all your higher functions, cognitive thought and consequences and all that fun stuff, and you just go completely animalistic. And I'm talking about you. We've all seen this. We have all seen this. If you've ever seen two dudes get into a nasty bar brawl, especially online, they like showing that stuff lately. You're looking at pretty much the animal human. Okay. No holds barred, especially if you're in a back alley somewhere, where the cops aren't coming for at least a while. Yeah, you're gonna the amount of destruction unleashed on one another is tantamount to, say, a mountain lion or something like that. And then there's riots when you have a mob of humans going completely berserk. The amount of destruction there is, well, it's almost unconscionable. That's why it takes us by surprise every single time it happens. But yeah. So I think for my money, with the exception of the occasional crackhead losing, that's another one, crack, horrible drug, losing his mind and screaming at the world, which I had happened to me maybe a couple, 3-4 weeks ago, out getting food, running errands, what have you, and there's this dude across the street, and I was just waiting for him to cross the street. Fortunately, it was kind of busy, and at least some part of him just wanted to send him down that road. And he was stopping every 5 minutes, or not even that, more like every 60 seconds, just screaming at the top of his lungs like a freaking primitive nutbag, okay? And I mean, and maybe he was making words too, and he wasn't singing lyrics, I know that, unless he has a metal band stuck in his head. But at the same time, metal guys typically don't do that. Okay. Anyway, so every 60 seconds, just losing his mind about something. And he seemed to pivot every single time he stopped. He was addressing one part of the world or whatever he saw in his own little internal environment, to one degree or another, and it was addressing them. But another example of the human animal just getting let off the so-called leash. And that is the upside of living in a society, ladies and gentlemen. We have checks and balances kind of embedded in us that prevent us from doing harm to ourselves and others. Same thing with laws. A lot of people kind of crap all over laws right now, and especially young people, and I don't get it. But I digress. Let's talk a little bit more about the fun world of, that's far too many tabs that just opened. Fun world of conspiracies and psyops. And is there a paranormal issue that makes all of this, everything we're experiencing, an issue to overcome? That is to say, I'm going to look at something real quick, because I have a conspiracy file too. I think they're fun more than anything. Yeah. Okay. Now, I don't know if this guy's given instructions or if he's just got his own theory or knowledge that he's just kind of running with. But this is a military classroom / kind of a little bit of break time, I think, for these soldiers. And he's talking about an ancient alien war. So let me get this queued up, because this is pretty fascinating. And it kind of also goes to, what do those our government military globally now know that they are not telling us, despite all these releases, despite all this video and audio and stuff? We're still not being shown the whole picture. I complained about that in the past. Let's take a look at these guys. Nope, that's not it. That's the one. And okay, so I'm gonna have to close it and go back into it because I had the volume off.
I don't know, but how do they react? See, they bring up.
Sorry, let me go back.
What's up with the fucking big ones? Like, what's their fucking plan?
Okay, there's a little bit of swearing here. Sorry. Welcome to the military. We swear a lot.
These and these had a.
Is it up?
A large war.
Can you see it?
Okay, who won?
You can hear it.
Well, no, these guys won. They almost wiped these
Sorry.
out, but
There we
they
go.
had soft spots. So we're more worried about the planet was destroyed, so they had to go to the circle. Well, this guy's got a fucking bunch of motherfuckers.
Sorry about the swearing, guys.
Because EBE1 said so.
Okay, now that's interesting. Okay. So, sorry, let me shut these guys out. They're swearing up a storm here. Okay. I really wish people would bleep their stuff a little bit more. Hope this doesn't have to go private. But, so we're talking about EBE1. Now, that is an interesting little thing to kind of look into. EBE1 it's actually a bike. Who knew? But it's a alien being, a visitor that we captured. And here's a still of him. If I can share him with you, I will. Let's see here. Stop. Nope. This is ridiculous that I have to do this every single time. Alrighty. Oh, and 2-stage. There we go. So this is the EBE1. We've seen his footage before. There we go. This is the guy they're referring to, or one. I mean, whether you believe this footage or not is a different story. This is the one that looks most realistic to me, but excuse me, at the same time, this suit looks very human tailored to me, but I digress. EBE1 was an alleged captured alien being that we had in our custody for several years, and he relayed the story that the soldier just told, that there was a war. And this kind of goes back to what we were talking about at the beginning of the podcast. There was a war, and between him and I think the reptilians, or his people and the reptilians, and the reptilians won that war. And these guys are forced to scatter, and among the different tribes and or colonies they find or found, they end up, one of them ends up on Earth. And I think his vessel, scout vessel, I guess, crashed. He survived. His fellows didn't, and he was therefore a political guest long term. We couldn't get him. We couldn't give him back because we didn't know how to make that happen. Apparently, he did and tried to escape a couple of times, or he succeeded in escaping at one point. It depends on who you listen to regarding this character in our unconfirmed history. But yeah. So that begs another question. Do if we have these creatures that have stayed with us or interacted with us, like Charles Hall, I keep mentioning Charles today, but he's significant. Any number of our so-called, well, I shouldn't say so-called, our whistleblowers. Some of them have had direct contact with various alien life. And a lot of them kind of look like us, not including this guy here. He kind of looks like us. Head, neck, torso, 4 limbs. Finger count differs some from time to time. Excuse me. But, yeah. All right, now there's a weird new sound happening. That might be my dryer. I think it might be. I'm so sorry, my nose is driving me bonkers today. But yeah, I mean, it kind of, I don't know. So that's kind of leads me back to my complaint. Whatever the narrative is about these various creatures out there in the galaxy, or if not the more immediate portion of the sky, because they all seem to be living not too far from us, with the exception of those from the Pleiades cluster. That's a bit of a distance. It's something like, let us look it up. How far away? Let me ask. Beep. How far away is the Pleiades star cluster from Earth? Pleiades star cluster is 444 light years away, or 2.6 quadrillion miles from Earth. Yeah, that's pretty far out there. I think that is the farthest. That is the system that the aliens that abducted Betty and Barney Hill were apparently from. The Pleiades star cluster, Zeta Reticuli 1 and 2, are the larger stars there. Talked about that last week before. And so that's saying something. And I don't think they took a 440 plus year trip to get here. No, they had to have had faster than light technology. And we've already heard today that, at least according to that one fella who says, here's what I was told, that the Greys, or so-called Greys, or the variation on the Greys, because Betty and Barney Hill's aliens, and I got those guys floating around here somewhere too, Betty and Barney Hill aliens. Betty Hill, let's see. There we go. Hold on. It's here somewhere, I promise. This is silly that I can't find it. Nope. Okay. hold on. Let me just dig around for a second as I talk. But their particular aliens were very much like, I know where those are now. They're in a different system. They're very much like the aliens we see in, well, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. They're very, very, very familiar. I'm gonna briefly call up a thing here. I'm gonna mute it. Find a picture of the aliens because it's kind of, there we go. All right, so there's one. It's a little cut off, but you can see it. Sorry for the dead air, ladies, and I hit the wrong button again. What else is new? But if you look at this rendition of the alien, and I add it to the stage so you can actually see it, this isn't too dissimilar to the alien represented in Close Encounters of the Third Kind. The head's a little weird and oblong. The one in the film is more oblong. But these guys seem to be almost... I mean, this is based on their renderings, too, that Betty and Barney Hill provided. Yeah. Yeah, I'm aware. Okay, so Heidi provided a very interesting piece of insight here. That the seven sisters, the Pleiades, were pursued across the sky by the hunter Orion. They were daughters of Titan, of the Titan Atlas, and the Oceanid Pleione. Oh wow, I'm mispronouncing that. I'm sorry, Heidi. I know that. But still, these guys claim to be from that star system. They even showed her a map of the Pleiades system. Now, their version was reversed and upside down, so that our version of North and our version of North are literally reversed. Isn't that interesting? Yeah. Orion the Hunter pursued them across the years. Oh, someone knows their mythology / ancient history. But he's also preserved in the sky. That's why I have the Orion star system. Zeus was in, or was it Hera, was enamored of Orion's pursuits. Or was it Zeus who was, he was such a great hunter, so we're going to immortalize you, and threw his visage up into the sky. And that's how he got the constellation of Orion. Yeah, and he does look kind of familiar, doesn't he, this guy right here? So, but I mean, between this and the other fella I pulled up, let's see if I can get, I'll have to remove it. Nope, remove it, Tim. Gosh, it's good times. And, oh, where'd he go? I misplaced him somewhere. Nope, not you. Nope, not you. Where's the other one? Where's the EBE one? It's fun stuff. Anyway, you get my meaning. So between him and the black and white version of the aliens we just saw, there is a bit of a difference. And it's not to say there aren't variations on the species like there are with us humans. So some might have bigger heads, some might have smaller heads. And there was one dude on that same video who had just a really, is that it? Just a strange morphology. And that's what it's called, morphology. And it was just bizarre because he was pink looking. And there he is. I'll show this guy too. This apparently was the leader leader of this particular encounter. This is Travis Walton's story. So let me get him back up here. There we go. So between this guy and that guy, and there's a rough side by side there. So there's a typical gray and that guy. So for my money, it's I don't know, it's weird because this guy kind of resembles what Betty saw, but this guy comes a little bit closer, although the dimensions are weirder. But I mean, it fits the description. So something tells me that we may have seen a crew of these guys with Betty Barney Hill, and then they employed their techno-organic little gray fellas to help with the rest of it. So that's something strange to consider, I guess. But yeah, similar but different. Well put, Heidi. So yeah, I mean, there's all that. But and this kind of all again leads me back to the beginning of the podcast and my continual complaint with the UFO release of the UFO tranches that I totally misspelled my whole thing, which is horrible because I'm a writer. Show us the aliens. Show us the aliens. We have all this leaked footage. Confirm some of it. Show us the freaking aliens. You know, if Zork comes down the street one day for whatever reason, I'd like to know what species he is or something. Oh, you're one of those gray dudes that runs around. I mean, I won't get it right probably, but you know, and it's odd. I've been having these, for the last 10 years. I guess you would call them really, really. Thank you. Heidi agrees with me. I'm going to put that up on the screen. Show us the aliens. It's like show me the money, but show us the aliens instead. For the last 10 years, I've been having these really intense, not dreams. I would classify them rather as daydreams. Very intense. I mean, like I get lost in thought on it kind of a thing. Where, at weird places too, like the grocery store. I must look like a complete idiot just kind of zoning out with my basket. But of having to be a liaison between aliens, big ones too. They kind of look like almost look like reptilians. They have like and kind of speaking to what Heidi was saying, they have like a trench coat, kind of a uniform to them, and they're big, and they have reddish skin, claw-like nails, and then oh gosh, let's tap on that. But okay, and they have but they almost look like lions. They have a mane of some sort, and their face kind of remind me of cats, big cats like lions, like I was saying, and they have this weird language, and somehow I'm able to interpret. Oh no, they want to know where the cantaloupe are, or that kind of thing, and it just always. Bizarre little thing just enters my head. Maybe I'm cuckoo, who knows? But it's bizarre. It's the only time that really happens is, again, at the grocery store or at, where was I? One of those larger outlet stores like Costco or something like that. Whenever I'm shopping, basically. Like, they want to know, what does this do? What does that do? And I just kind of, it's like, oh, okay, you got to go over here, you got to do this, you got to do that. And somehow I'm able to talk to them. Weird. No, the large cat did not. Okay, so Heidi has a question for me. No, I've had several vivid dreams. Wait, a large cat with a human-looking face? No, large lion, basically, but bipedal. The claws are there, and the fur and or skin. You know how they have that really short fur on lions? This was almost like they were lacking fur to a degree, especially on their little hands and stuff. And it was reddish, or like a deep pink maybe. But that was the color of their skin. Ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to talk about so much more, but we are out of time. So, it is with an excessive amount of thanks and grace and the rest of it that I say thank you so much for joining us. Heidi, love chatting with you as always. And, ladies and gentlemen, my name's Tim Sedano. This has been Paranormal Insight, and we will see you next time. Take care. If you have a paranormal experience that you would like to discuss on the show, please email us at paranormal.insight.podcast@gmail.com. That's paranormal.insight.podcast@gmail.com.